thank you very much. We certainly appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to share some of the things that are happening at NWTC, specifically IT and the College of Business. So as we get started and we talk about our school a little bit and then some of our programming, in the College of Business, we have 4 different career cluster areas, which include business, digital arts, hospitality, and then the one that we're all here to talk about today, IT. As we look at the College of Business as well, we are ACBSP accredited, which just sounds like a whole bunch of letters when we say it that way. But really what that means is we identify and we're held to a standard by an outside organization that really ensures that what we're doing is done at a high level and that we're continuously improving our programs and our assessments and our classes and our spaces. So it's really just kind of helping build that measure of quality as you go through our programming with the College of Business at NWTC. It's helped build some strong 2+2 agreements and transfer opportunities after you do 2 years at NWTC, being able to take those credits and transfer those and apply those to some of our university partners as well. So not just a bunch of little letters that all string together. A lot of people struggle just remembering what the order is, but really kind of that measurable standard that we get held to. Another part of really what we're looking at NWTC is we've moved into an 8-week advantage. Again, what does that necessarily mean? It means that our classes, our semesters are broken into 2 8-week sessions. Session 1 and then session 2. So for example, let's say you were going to take 6 classes over the length of a semester. We allow a more concentrated focus on, let's say, 3 classes in session 1 and 3 classes in session 2. Our IT programs, for the most part, will be making that transition to 8-week delivery starting this summer, but then in large rollout for fall of 21. So a number of programs have already moved into that area, but really that concentrated focus, fewer courses at a time, more concentrated focus on specific topics and skill building. We pride ourselves on a strong partnership with industry, community, and other educational organizations as we, again, really look to develop those programs within our district, Northeast Wisconsin, and giving students an opportunity to develop their skills, become employable, and then also moving into additional education if that's something that they're interested in looking at. One new and exciting thing that we are very proud to be part of is HP EDUCAUSE Campus of the Future grant. And really, again, what that means is we're teamed up with some other universities across the country. I believe we're partnered up with Yale, Dartmouth, and the University of Pennsylvania. And the main focus is going to be VR technology. So what's going to happen at some of those other schools is they're going to be developing some new technologies and some new products. And then our instructors and students get to test it out and figure out what works, what doesn't, offer that feedback, and really kind of help drive the future of some of that development that's going to be taking place. And it's going to be heavily tied into our IT program. So we're very, very excited about that opportunity that we're going to have moving forward. So that's just a little bit of an overview in terms of what we have in the College of Business with some specifics to our IT programs. When we look at just our specific IT cluster, we have 17 total credentials, and they're kind of broken down into 6 associate degree programs, 7 technical diplomas, and 4 certificates. We ladder our credentials wherever possible, so you can earn pieces along the way. So if it's a certificate of, let's say, 4 courses, that's the first semester, maybe the first year of a specific program. That can ladder in some cases into the technical diplomas, which could ladder into the associate degree. And then we also look at 2+2 or transfer opportunities wherever we can, because we want to build that bridge and that pathway through continuous learning for all of our students based on their needs and their interests. So all of our IT programs will start to share a course coming up this summer and fall, and it's an intro to IT course. What you're going to find if you're interested in IT is it spans and crosses, and if you're doing one thing, you're probably going to touch another. So what is that one area of IT that you want to specialize in? Knowing that you're going to be touching other areas of it, what could we do to really help direct those students into the right program earlier versus, let's say, a year in? So that's kind of the purpose of the intro to IT course. It's a little bit of everything in IT. Kind of gives you more of a background understanding of what to expect in that program and in that field. And if it's the right fit, great. But if you realize instead of system administrator, I'm more interested in web development, you can see that early and make that adjustment before you're too deep into a program and feel like, well, now I'm going to have to redo a bunch of classes. So that's going to be rolled out relatively soon as well. So we're excited about that change. So a lot of new and new development, new offerings coming out of our IT programs. Common skills. So I kind of broke these down across all of these program areas because they're pretty consistent. Detail orientated, logical thinking, problem solver, communication is always important, and really always learning. IT changes on a weekly basis. That might be polite, giving it a week at a time. Sometimes it may feel like it changes on a daily basis. So there's always learning that's going to need to happen and going to need to take place really across any of these program areas within our IT cluster. So those are some of the key areas. Now, some of our program areas are going to specialize in some other areas and other skill development. That's outside of that list was really outside of those technical skills. The technical skills are what you're picking up in the classes as part of those programs. So I'm going to touch briefly on our associate degree programs. I'll start off with our computer support specialist, and broad brush in the most general terms, set up in support of a wide range of technology devices. That's not all it is. It could be help desk support. It could be working and supporting and helping troubleshoot database development as well. So it can splinter off in a lot of different areas. This would probably be our broadest IT program, just in terms of really that touch point to software developer, system administrator, cybersecurity potentially, because they're kind of that first line of defense of there's a problem and somebody calls it in. I may or may not have had to call our help desk at the college sometime this week because some of my software wasn't working quite right. So it's really that frontline support, broad-based knowledge across IT in general. So that's really that that computer support specialist program. And I believe, and Sue could correct me if I'm wrong on it, but I believe we're looking at possibly updating the name of that in the future as well. So you may see it as a different name in the future, but that's, again, that frontline IT support and help. And again, the technology piece, I said it's always changing, always learning. We're bringing in that AR, VR technology. It may be tablet based. It could be smartphone based. It could be laptop. It could be desktop. There's so many pieces that they get to touch and they get to work with. They get to tear computers apart and build them back up. So it's really a good troubleshooting, broad-based IT program that we have up there. We also have our system administrator and security technologist. We'll call that cybersecurity because it probably makes a little bit more sense on the surface. But really, those are going to be our two network-based programs. We've all heard the cloud, and we push our files to the cloud, but the cloud still does exist somewhere. So we need to be able to have all of that data stored someplace. It's the backbone of that connection within an organization. How is that information going to be shared? Who's going to have access to those files or this portion of a server? That's where really that structural component comes in. When we look at the cybersecurity, we need to maintain the integrity of the network and the data. We don't want anybody to just be able to access those pieces. So whether it's trying to think of what are the vulnerabilities of our network and how can we close some of those points off, that's really where we want to start. And that's what's going to be some of those development points. So that technical skill development really is focusing in on the network coming out of those two associate degree areas within the College of Business. Another program area that we have at the college is software developer. This is computer programming. What do we want the end user on the computer to do, and how does the computer need to be able to do it? So it's really going to be that knowledge base, is getting the computer and the apps and the games and whatever it may be to do what we want it to do. It doesn't just happen automatically. There has to be some coding in the background. We teach a number of different coding languages, starting off with C#. I can get the words up this morning. As you go through that programming course, you start to get more and more coding languages under your belt. Coding is everywhere. Computers, smart devices, gaming. There's a lot of smart appliances out there. Smart homes, think of Alexa, you ask her to do something, there's coding in the background of that. Self-driving cars, I saw a session just a couple weeks ago, maybe, of really the coding that we're going to use a self-driving car, or maybe some people are. I don't know that I would trust it quite yet. But if we got a self-driving car and it sees a stop sign, it needs to know what to do. The coding is there to make sure that it recognizes that shape, the sign, and it knows to stop. So the code is what makes it function, is really what's going to drive those. And that's software developer. I would say troubleshooting is key in there, because we can come up with hundreds of lines of code, and then all of a sudden something doesn't work quite right, and we have to figure out where that problem would end up being. So software developer troubleshooting is really key, but it's broad in terms of where you could go with it, because again, coding's everywhere. Smart devices and smart technology just continues to grow. The need for those developers will continue to be there. So then we have our web development and design. Really, the calling card of that program is what they call a full stack developer. And really what that means is it's the front end design. How is that website gonna look when it is laid out and it's created? Then it's the back end development. How's it gonna work? So it is a marriage of really two skill sets, looking at the look and the feel, and then also the function. And what's that end user experience going to be? If you've ever shopped on Amazon, you put something in the search and you end up with 100 different options, and then that tends to follow you along to other browsers or wherever you may go. But really, that's going to be, how does it look so that it makes sense, that user experience, but then the function of it as well. That's that full stack developer. That's our 2-year web development and design program, really looking at the front end design and the back end development, so that we think of user experience at the end, and it's a successful tool for businesses and industry as they move their products forward, and they want to have it be successful as well. So that would be our web development and design. Then we lead into our business analyst, and business analyst program, it's a bridge between the business unit, so it could be the accounting staff, the marketing staff, whoever that may be, and the IT department. Is really what it's going to come down to. It's kind of system thinking. How can we take this information and get something at the end that's going to be usable to that company or that person's boss, whatever it may be. But it's that bridge. What does a business unit need, and how can IT support it, is largely going to be where that comes in. That cuts across all businesses. And in reality, all of these IT programs that I've been talking about, it's every industry. There aren't industries out there that I can think of off the top of my head that doesn't have the need for some level of IT support or function. Maybe different levels at different companies specializing in different areas, but the need is business wide. It's not specific to an IT company. And that's the one thing to really think about when it comes down to IT and how we're delivering this right now. We're through Zoom and we're sharing a screen, and some people got their videos on. I'm unmuted right now. How can we make sure all of those pieces stay working? And the IT professionals have really done a tremendous job with that over the last year plus. As we've kind of gone through it, it's just been heightened, I think, largely over the last 12 months. So got a little off track. I've got one more program to highlight, and that's our brand new data analytics program. And that has a data focus, and you have to like math. When you're going to be working in data analytics, it's going to be data-driven, math-driven, computer programming, and data working together to really help business leaders make decisions with relevant information. But how can we take that data and make it usable? How can we turn data points into a graphic that could be understood by many people across an organization? That visualization of data, being able to work with it and understanding those pieces of that area. And that's a new program. It's going to start in the fall of 21. So it's a brand new offering that we will have in place starting this upcoming fall. So those are our key program areas. Again, those are our associate degree 2-year programs that we have. Like I said earlier, we do have some technical diplomas and certificates as well. We ladder them across everywhere that we possibly can. There's some shared courses. So that was kind of a brief overview. Our Center of Information Technology is just 3 or 4 years old. It's a brand new space. The college has supported it very well with technology. We get a lot of natural light in that building as well, which is very nice, and it's a welcoming environment to take those classes. So I know I've been talking for quite a while. I want to make sure that I hit all of the key pieces of information. So I'm going to ask Sue to see if there's anything that I missed or anything that she would like to expand on.
Well, thanks, John. You definitely hit on all of the associate degree programs. Just a gentle reminder, associate degrees are roughly about 60 credits, and then they can ladder into the bachelor's degrees, which would give you a grand total of 120 credits. So hopefully that kind of gives you that mindset of how this all fits together. Lynn, if you want to switch to the last couple of slides, As this gets shared out, or if you want to connect with us, we're happy to have those conversations. You're going to see that there's a number of courses that are offered at the high school level that can actually fold right into what John was sharing about the pathways. So they fold right into our certificates, into a technical diploma, which is about 30 credits, and then into that associate degree, which is again about 60 credits. And then you can go ahead and transfer and finish up at UW Green Bay, finishing up those last 60 credits in a variety of programs. And some of them are directly related to IT, like their computer science programs. Others go into their leadership programs as well. So we can definitely share this out. Happy to have any of those conversations, but know that those pictures that were shown on those previous slides that John was talking about are really the spaces that our learners actually have the opportunity to be in as they take those classes here at NWTC. So thanks.
You bet. And just looking at these classes, I know that John mentioned that intro to IT, which kind of talks about all the different IT areas and helps students to determine what area they want to go in, which makes so much sense because students might be interested in computers, but don't really know what the difference is between all of your programs. Is that also a class that's going to be available as dual credit or online or Start College Now? So students might also already do that in high school?
Yeah, so a lot of different choices there, right? So absolutely, we will be doing a train the trainer session for our high school instructors next summer. So the summer of 22, which means that in the fall of 2022, wow, that seems really far out there, the intro to IT will be transcribed, but high school students can absolutely look at taking that intro to IT class starting this fall with those offerings with the Start College Now opportunities. And just that gentle reminder from the very beginning that John was talking about, our classes are in the 8 weeks. So we actually start mid-August and run until about the end of October there, and then start up again in November and December for our fall semester for 2 different sessions of 8-week opportunities.
Wonderful. The other thing that I was going to ask, I know John mentioned C# as one of the languages. If students were looking to get a certification and start learning a language in high school, would that be one that you would suggest they start with?
So yes, there are definitely some different opportunities. So in software developer, we teach primarily the C# and the Java and C# being the more prevalent program of choice by our area businesses. However, they also learn HTML because website coding class is part of that program. And so you'll learn how to do some of the back end as well, the PHP, working with SQL databases. So a lot of different pieces. The other thing to also be aware of, like Python and R, and those 2 programming languages in particular are in the data analytics program. I should also mention Unity software, because if you like to program games, Unity software is really that tool of choice, and Unity is actually taught in our software developer program as well. So lots of choices. It's really the mindset of programming that you're after, because the programming languages, to me, is just kind of learning a foreign language, right? Once you figure out the syntax, you can go ahead and program in those languages as long as you understand the mindset of how a program gets written.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of logic. I actually had to learn a teeny tiny bit of HTML at one time. And yeah, it's just a lot of logical thinking. Allison, do you have any questions?
One question. So sometimes high school students are a little nervous, maybe don't have the confidence quite yet. Could you maybe speak to if there's a student who is like, I really want to, but I'm not sure because I don't know how good I am. Could you speak to how there is support for someone who maybe isn't all that experienced, but really enjoys IT?
All right, so I'm taking the questions and John did the presentation, so it all works. We absolutely have assistance, and I will say many of our students have no experience whatsoever. They just know they like the idea of tinkering. Maybe they have some math skills, maybe they have those analytical skills. Maybe they like to touch stuff, but maybe they're not thinking, you know, the mechanical end of our trades and engineering area, and they're looking more at the IT. So we do have academic coaches that are available. That's really for any class. So, and it's not for a student that's failing, it's for a student that's struggling maybe with a topic and they just want clarification. So you can be an A student, you can be a C student, you can be that student that's struggling and just trying to get by and learning those skills. And you all have access then to the academic coaches. So our academic coaches are students or graduates of our programs that actually help the students with that course content. So there are definitely people available at no charge to assist our students. And again, our instructors have office hours. You can always work with our instructors. There's a lot of team building, so you get to learn who's in your class, who those individuals are. You can reach out to your class members as well. It's definitely not a lonely career as maybe it was once in the past. Definitely everyone working together.